Hi, I'm Mr. Alander, and I have the pleasure of teaching with Miss Barger this seventh or eighth grade language arts, advanced integrated language arts and social studies class. We call it ELASS. And I'm sorry I'm not here tonight. I also coach cross country, and we have a meet, and so that's why I'm not speaking to you sort of in person. Um, but if you do have any questions for me, please, there will be a way for you to get in touch with me at the end of the video. So I look forward to hearing from you. A little bit about me: I've been teaching since 1994. I've been in at Winton Middle School since 1995. I've been doing a lot of different activities, and it's just so interesting to see that I'm here in the close of this building, but then starting the new chapter later this year. It's very exciting in the new and improved building. So thank you for all your support with this, and I'm eager to get things moving in person with our students. To talk to you about my family, the important members of my family are Louie and Jet. Louie is the bunny, Jet is the black lab. But of course, I also need to mention my wife and two boys, Will and Ed. Will is in college, Ed is a senior in high school. And in this picture, we actually look like we are enjoying each other's company. And we do. We're a very tight knit family. I like them. I think I'll keep them. One of the things I like to do, as I mentioned, as a cross country coach, I like to run. But one of the things I like to step it up a notch by doing mud runs or obstacle course races. And this is me jumping over, well, some died down flames at one of the Spartan races that I've done. I've got stories to tell you. But one of the other things I love to do is learn. And a couple summers ago, I had the pleasure of spending a week at the Library of Congress in Washington, D.C. And this is the Jefferson Reading Room at the Library of Congress. If you're not careful and you get me started talking about the amazing things that happen in the Library of Congress, I won't stop talking, but I need to move on. But get me started, and you won't regret it. But I've got a lot to tell you about because it's an amazing place. All right, basic rules of the class: be nice, work hard. There are no shortcuts. You take care of that, we're pretty sure not only will you do okay in this class, but you'll do okay in life. One of the other kind of philosophical things that we bring to the class is we want to shift the definition of fail for the kids. Fail means first attempt in learning. And the only true failure is when you stop trying to learn from your mistakes. And so that is why it's back here behind me in the room and it's up here. It's I truly believe this. I've learned so much more personally from my mistakes than I have from other opportunities. So we want to try to get that in the kids' heads. The other thing that we're trying to use as a foundation are the 7 habits of highly effective people. And with the 7 habits, you may be familiar with the 7 habits of highly effective people by Stephen Covey. It took the business world by storm a while back. But his son wrote a teen friendly book called 7 Habits of Highly Effective Teens. They're the same 7 habits. Um, and they are principles of human behavior and life, and you live by these habits, life will be much better for you. That's a promise. And so we're trying to get this into the kids so these habits become the students habits, and so they can blossom under those results. The other thing about our class, like an ongoing theme, is especially when we study history, is it's complicated. And we want to convince the kids that anytime they get a simplified version of a story, whether it's historical or in the news, if it seems too simple, it probably is because life is complicated. And so we will be giving them the tools to dig into those simple stories. And speaking of simple stories and the danger of a single story, this is an amazing TED Talk by Chimamanda Adichie. And it's basically about how when we hear the same story over and over again about a person, a place, or an event, or a group of people, we then tend to think that that's the only story about that person, place, event, or group of people. And that's dangerous. So if you have a chance and you've got some about 15 or 20 minutes to listen to this TED Talk, it's truly amazing. And it's about the value of getting different perspectives, which we will be using throughout the year. In seventh grade ELAS, the social studies part, we'll be studying prehistory all the way back and back and back and back and back, way before people, all the way to 1600 AD. We'll be studying multiple cultures around the globe. We'll also be using as historical frames these three ideas of communities, networks, and production and distribution, which is kind of interesting that much of human history can be understood at a whole nother level when you use these three frames. While they're not the only frames we could use, and they won't be the only frames we will use, there are three that we will use throughout the year in understanding how groups of people, communities, interacted with each other, networks, and then changed what they produced and how they distributed the things that they produced within their networks and within their communities, as well as with other networks. It's just an interesting concepts. Now, in eighth grade ELAS, the social studies part, we study U.S. history from Native peoples all the way to the Reconstruction, which is 1877. And all bits and pieces in between, not just the events and the people, but also the things that were created, like the Constitution. That's huge. And as well as how our country has changed over those years. And you look, our country, the map of our country looks very different than this one that was made in 1785. What made those changes happen? That's part of the study of our history. We'll be using claims testing skills in both the ELA part of the class and the social studies parts of the class, which are intuition, logic, authority, and evidence. And this is really what history is about and reading is about, is not just taking everything at face value, but digging into, do these things make sense? Where's the proof? That's good thinking. And with historical thinking, skills like contextualization, sourcing, and corroboration, as well as close reading, those are things that real historians do when they're investigating history and historical documents and historical artifacts. And we'll be doing that as well. Hey, in an ELA class, we got to read. We're going to be reading a wide variety of texts, okay? And we'll be reading them critically and deeply. We'll be digging into language and vocabulary using vocabulary.com and studying morphemes, which are like roots, prefixes, and suffixes, as well as developing the vocabulary within the text that we read. We'll be writing, because that's what we do, writing or typing. Okay, but writing is thinking, so we'll need to be doing a lot of that. And then speaking as well. This is a PBL school. We'll be presenting to small groups, to whole classes, to larger groups. It's what we do. And you'll get better, you'll get stronger, you'll get more confident the more you do it. So by the time you're in high school, boom, no problem, you got this. Now, here's some of the questions that I anticipate that many parents have. And so here are some of my answers. Homework from this class, you should have about 3 or 4 hours a night. Kidding. Actually, all the work is really homework when we think about it now, at least in this virtual setting. But in terms of outside of school hours, we do try to limit it. We try to give the students enough time in class to take care of the work, but they may have, over the course of the week, they may have an hour or two of homework spread out throughout the week for our class. Now, these next 3 questions are ones that will be answered in this quick echo tutorial. Your child knows how to get to the echo classes. They should see these every day, and they also know these 2 little buttons. The little triangle button takes them to the agenda, which is always a great place to see what we're doing, as well as a great place to check, hey, if you're absent, what can I do? So keep these things in mind. And then also looking at the grades. The grades are really important, and because quite often I'll have students come, why did you give me an F? They never ask why I gave them an A. It's always, why did you give me an F? And they brag about how they earned an A. Okay, anyhow, I'm not bitter or anything. But this student would has all the answers to those questions right in front of her. And for example, this is the overall grade up here. These are the different components of the grade, the school-wide learning outcomes. But the real question is, like with this student, they said, well, why did I get a 0? I know I turned it in. Well, one of the things that you'll notice are these little icons that pop up over here, not necessarily with every assignment, but if there's that circular arrow, that means the student can still resubmit this. And if there's that speaking bubble, there's a comment that might explain, hey, this is what you need to do before you resubmit it. For example, this student forgot to give me permission to view the Google Doc. So it's simply, yes, I put a 0 in to get your attention. Read the comment, fix it, and you'll be fine. So thank you. If you have any questions, please let me know either via email or by completing a Flipgrid using that link or that QR code. Either way, you'll need to be signed in on on your child's Google account to get access to the Flipgrid. But so far, the year's been great. Your children are amazing and wonderful, and I'm learning so much about them. And I'm looking forward to having a great year with your kid. And I'm really eager to see them face to face. So, with all that being said, I hope that this was worth your time. And if you have any questions, please let me know. Thank you very much. Have a great evening, and I look forward to meeting you at some point.